I'm in love, bellowed Samson. Completely, amazingly, wonderfully in love. And he skipped down the mountain path like a 6'5" schoolboy, tunelessly crooning the words of some corny love song, while his muscles quivered in the breeze and his waist-length dreadlocks bounced up and down in time to the music. Suddenly, a full-grown lion leapt out at him from behind a rock, but Samson hardly noticed. I'm in love, he sang, as he yanked the slavering animal from off his body. I'm in love, he sang, as he threw it onto the ground. So much in love, he sang, as he strangled it with his bare hands and left it dead on the path. Oh, what a beautiful day! Samson's mum and dad were at home being boring. Samson's mum was lying on the sofa with her feet up doing a word search like she always did, and Samson's dad was over by the window playing a tune on his teeth like he always did. One minute everything was quiet and usual and boring, and the next minute, boom, Samson burst through the door. I mean, he literally burst through the door. Where the door had been, there was this jagged 6'5" hole with Samson standing in front of it, grinning. I'm in love, he said for the 118th time that day. Who is it this time? Said his mum without even looking up from her word search. The most beautiful girl in the world, said Samson. Yes, I'm sure she is, said his mother. Where's she from? Timnah, said Samson, looking a bit sheepish. Timnah! Timnah! Exploded his mother. You've done it again, haven't you? And she stormed off into the kitchen to make a cup of tea. Timnah is a Philistine town, isn't it? Crash, crash went the cups and saucers. You've been messing around with a Philistine girl again, haven't you? Crash, crash went the milk jug and the sugar bowl. How many times do I have to tell you don't mess around with Philistines? They're immigrants. They're from another country. They're not like us. You've really upset your mother this time, said Samson's dad. Oh, it's all right, Dad. She isn't a floozy. I'm going to marry her. Crash! From the kitchen came the sound of a full set of tea things crashing to the floor. 3 days later, they set off for the wedding. Samson's dad in the lead, then his mum, then Samson. Samson's mum hadn't stopped moaning since he'd told her the good news. They're so arrogant, these Philistines. They treat us like dirt, don't deny it, and they want our land. Every time your back's turned, some greasy Philistines bought your best field. And as for their gods, I mean, I'm a broad-minded woman, but some of the things they get up to are disgusting. There's this goddess who, and she started flailing around in the air with her handbag. Out of nowhere had appeared an extremely angry swarm of bees who rather fancied the fruit on her hat. Samson lumbered over, plucked the ball of bees from her head and hurled it bare-handed back in the direction that it had come from. Flop! And wonder of wonders, look where the bees had built their nest, in the carcass of Samson's dead lion. There they were, flying in and out of its nose like it was the entrance to the Dartford Tunnel and buzzing all the way down to its stomach. The giant prized open the lion's jaws and thrust his hand deep inside. Then he pulled out something hot and sticky. Samson's mum and dad were just disappearing over the hill, his mum still going on about the disgusting habits of the Philistines. But Samson licked the sticky mess and smiled. Honey. He wolfed it all down, then wiped the remnants from his beard and trotted off after his mum and dad. The streets of Timnah were crowded with Philistines drinking sugary drinks, buying flashy shoes, discussing the price of apple strudel. They made their way through the crowds, trying not to draw attention to themselves. Oi, dreadlocks, someone shouted. Get your hair cut. Go and have a wash, someone else yelled. You stink of pickled herring. And the kids started chanting, Israelites, Israelites, shove a chicken down your tights. Samson's mum's face was taut and angry. She was determined not to cry, absolutely determined. Just a few more steps and they'd be safe inside the wedding party. Just a few more steps. Oh, good, it's the Israelites, bawled the best man. If you run out of chickens, try looking down their tights. The wedding guests howled with laughter. 30 men sitting at little tables, clutching their knives and forks, their plates piled high, just aching to tuck in. No, seriously, folks, continued the best man, many thanks for coming here. It's great to see you, and a big thank you for agreeing to pay for 7 nights of continual feasting. You didn't tell me that, said Samson's mum, and a tear was trickling down her cheek. I didn't know, said Samson. So, without further ado, added the best man, let the party begin! And immediately the guests started shoveling the contents of their plates down their faces. Quail's eggs in custard, battered lark's tongues, dolphin stuffed with prawns and baby chickens. Samson's mum looked on in horror as a month's wages disappeared down their throats in 10 seconds flat. The noise of the chomping grew louder and louder. Their faces got more and more twisted with sarcastic laughter. Samson's mum was sobbing and sobbing. The best man was snogging the bride. Samson had had enough. The teeniest of thoughts entered Samson's brain, took off its overcoat, hung it up on its little peg, rolled up its little shirt sleeves, plugged itself in, and began to glow like a tiny torch bulb. Samson had no idea what the thought meant, but he'd go with it anyway. He marched over to the Philistines, he banged hard on their table, and everyone stopped in mid-chomp and looked up. I've got a joke, said Samson. Oh, good, an Israelite joke, said the best man. I can hardly wait. Out of the eater came something to eat. Out of the strong came something that's sweet. What is it? We don't know, said the bride's father. And what's more, we don't care. And everyone started eating again. Bang, bang, bang. I will make a bet with you. I will bet every man here a new suit, a new shirt, a new pair of shoes, and a new tie and matching handkerchief. You can't work out the answer before the end of the 7 days feasting. The Philistines' eyes lit up. New clobber. If there was one thing that Philistines just loved, it was new clobber. The first day went by, and they hadn't got it. Day 2, they still hadn't got it. Day 3, no idea. By the 4th day, they were getting desperate. They waited till Samson's fiancée went to the powder room, and then they sneaked in after her. Get off, she went. Slightest only. We know, said the Philistines. But see, we want you to do us a favour. You know that stupid riddle? Oh, I thought it was quite good, actually, said Samson's fiancée. Oh, it is. It's great. But see, the thing is, we want you to find out the answer for us. 5 minutes later, Samson was on his way to wash his hands when he heard a voice calling to him. It was his fiancée, with her head peeking round the door of the ladies. Darling, she said, can you come in here a minute? Well, it's ladies only, said Samson. I know, but I want to be alone with you, don't I? Samson blushed. Why is that then? Well, out of the eater came something to eat, out of the strong came something that's sweet. What is it? I'm not going to tell you. Go on. No. Easy, she said, and she screwed up her nose and pulled a soppy little face. Oh, all right, said Samson. It's a lion. What? A dead lion what bees have laid some honey in. I saw it on the way down here. Oh, it's not very funny, is it? I know, said Samson craftily, but no one will get it, will they? Yeah, we will, said the Philistines. And they burst straight out of their hiding places. It's a dead lion with stupid bees in it. Now give us our suits. Samson was furious. That's cheating, he bawled, and he marched straight out of the powder room, strangled 30 Philistine passers-by, ripped the suits off their backs, marched straight back into the powder room again, and dumped the suits at the feet of the guests. "What disgusting behaviour," said the bride's father. "Don't think I'm letting my daughter marry a lout like you." "Oh, great," said the best man. "Can I have her?" "Certainly," said the bride's father. "Now get these horrible Israelites out of here." And the guests got sticks and stones, and they chased Samson and his mum and dad out of the powder room, out of the town, and back up into the hills. Samson sat on the hillside for a long time, looking out over towards the sea. The whole place was ripe with corn. Philistine corn. Why couldn't it be Israelite corn? He was fed up being pushed around by the Philistines just because they'd got fast chariots and sharp spears. The Israelites had got here first. The Philistines could just push off again. Rip! He heard the sound of flesh being torn and looked down. A pack of foxes were fighting over the carcass of his dead lion. Then, bing! He had another of his little ideas. He didn't know where it would lead, but he'd try it anyway. He tiptoed down to the rotting carcass, grabbed a couple of the foxes, tied them together by their tails, and flung them into an old sack. Then he grabbed another pair, and another, and another, and another, till by evening he had 150 pairs of foxes kicking and struggling in his sack. Then he flung it over his shoulder and headed for the Philistine fields. He tiptoed into the middle of the biggest cornfield, took out a pair of foxes and set fire to their knotted tails. Meow! The little creatures hurtled round the cornfield, their tails shooting flames. Whoosh! He set fire to two more. Meow! Off they went. Whoosh! Two more. Soon the whole cornfield was full of howling Catherine wheels. Further and further raced the foxes, and everywhere they went became a ball of flame. Soon the whole coastal plateau was a blazing inferno. The people of Timnah came rushing out of their houses. "What's going on?" they shouted. Out in the fields, they could see the smoky outline of a triumphant Samson. "It's an Israelite terrorist attack," they shouted. "That madman Samson saw the foot of his stupid fiancée and her stupid father." And they marched off to her house and set fire to it. When Samson saw smoke gushing from his beloved's roof, he got even more angry. She may not have been as nice as he'd hoped, but she was his girl. Then he lumbered into Timnah shouting, "Don't worry, darling, I'll save you." But by the time he got there, it was too late. His girl and her house had gone up in smoke. Then Samson really lost his rag. Up and down the town he went, slaughtering Philistines left, right and centre. By morning, the carnage was over. Timnah was quiet again, and Samson was tired, a little bit sad, and needed a rest. So he left town, climbed a high mountain, crawled into a big cave, and fell fast asleep.